Well, with me right now is Dan Ohlweiler. He is the president of Sterling Financial Advisors, and we have a subject today we have never talked about that I'm aware of. I think we might have talked about it off camera.
We've talked about a lot of things.
Yes.
But we haven't talked about. How were your holidays?
Fantastic. How about yours?
Good. Stayed around and had some kids in town, so
yeah,
that was
really
good.
Nice. It's always good to have you here, sir. All right. The world of Bitcoin, and there are other alt currencies out there, but this is the big one.
Well, that's the one that everybody knows, but there are a lot of what they call cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, cryptocurrencies.
That are out there right now, but Bitcoin seems to be the one that's the driving force.
And this is, I think I first heard about this maybe about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. One of the tech podcasts that I listened to started talking about it. And even then, they were trying to explain it.
Right.
And you were like, what the heck is this? Is it a stock? Is it, you know?
Well, again, it's a quote-unquote cryptocurrency that was developed through mathematical equations. Mm-hmm. The thing that I've always wondered about or cautioned my clients about is that there's no intrinsic value behind the coin itself. There's no physical coins. It's all based upon ledgers on the internet, you know?
Yes, exactly.
So if you wanted to buy a Bitcoin, you know, you're buying this hypothetical value on the internet.
Right.
Okay? If you were to go out and buy a Kugaran or a gold, you could get that in your possession. You can't get a Bitcoin in your possession. It's all intrinsic value on the internet.
You know, what's interesting about this is when I first heard about it, one of the things that was said about it is it's not similar to, however, there's been this intrinsic value on a lot of investments over the past 10, 15 years. .coms.
Okay.
Amazon for years or Google for years wasn't making a penny, but look at it skyrise.
Well, if you look at all the .coms, there was a weeding out, and the ones that had real value as far as a business model actually survived.
Yeah.
But the hundreds or thousands of them that we invested into, where we lost our money, had no intrinsic value other than an idea.
Yeah.
Okay? So the reason why there's so much excitement about Bitcoin is because of what it's done over the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
The value of that, I think that we have it on the screen, that you know, they started out, I think, in 2014 or 15, and it was at $200. You know, now it's trading at $13,000.
And this is for one Bitcoin.
For one Bitcoin. Yeah. You know, and so it's all been on, you know, excitement. Oh, I better get into Bitcoin and buy it, but there's no intrinsic value of that other than you have some money in a ledger.
Yeah.
You know, on the web.
And, you know, one of the questions that I had, years ago, is how do you cash this out? What if you want, okay, my Bitcoins went up in price. Now I want my cash. I want cash. I want out of this.
Right.
Do they need your bank account? Do they send?
Yeah. There's actually money that goes, and you can trade it on in your brokerage account or whatever. Yeah. But again, if you bought an ounce of gold, you could ask them to physically send you the ounce of gold.
Right.
If you wanted your Bitcoin, they say, well, there's no coin. You just have credit in your account.
Yes.
You know, and that's all based on, again, on intrinsic value of what people value that Bitcoin at.
Right.
They use it sometimes in commerce.
They do.
People can come in and say, well, do you take Bitcoins? And they'll say yes or no or whatever. It's just that I don't have a problem with people investing a small portion of their funds in that, but I wouldn't use it as the foundation of your retirement.
Right.
You know, at some point, people are going to realize, well, there is no value to this. It's just a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
And it's going to collapse. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just don't know when.
And of course now, if you wanted to buy one Bitcoin, what is it like? I think it's now up to about 19,000.
It was.
I saw yesterday.
Actually, yesterday, South Korea was the first government that actually submitted a bill to ban Bitcoin.
Oh,
in
wow.
there, and it had a negative effect on the
Okay.
price. The price of Bitcoin goes up $2,000 or $3,000 a day
Yeah.
per can. It's not unusual to have it swing $200 an hour.
Right.
It's very volatile.
And
very
from what
volatile.
I understand too, Bitcoins are actually multiplied or divided into.
You can buy partial
You can
Bitcoin.
buy, yeah, and
Okay.
that changes
Right.
as well.
So you can buy half a Bitcoin or
Yeah.
a quarter of Bitcoin, and
It's
you know,
very interesting.
it's very speculative. And those people who are younger, my sons, we are talking off air.
Yeah.
My sons follow Bitcoin all the time.
Yeah.
Well, they're a little bit younger than I am and can afford to maybe take a little bit more risk, but they like the potential that it's offering people.
Yeah. What's interesting, you mentioned commerce. There are some e-commerce already taking them. Amazon is not, but Overstock is.
Okay.
I went on Overstock yesterday, and I didn't try and buy anything because I wanted to see here's let's say a $50 item on Overstock. Well, how many Bitcoins is that?
Right.
I didn't get to that point because I'd have to put in the order.
Right.
And they give you the shipping and tax. So I don't know how many Bitcoins you would need to buy this $50.
Right.
But you can have
Probably not, because a Bitcoin is worth $13,000.
Yeah.
And if you're buying a $50 item, you'd probably pay, 1/10 of a Bitcoin or something.
Yeah. So that was interesting, but they are taking it.
Yeah.
And several are. In fact, you can go online and kind of see who's taking it. As I said, the biggest gorilla in the room, Amazon, of course, is not.
Well, it's actually had a negative effect on the price of gold because people see how much return people are getting over. I think it went up, 900% this last year or something, And the return on investment has been so great, it's had a very negative impact on the gold price because people are going from gold into Bitcoin.
Right.
Well, at least with gold, you have a physical asset.
You do.
Bitcoin, it's an intrinsic value of what people will put into, give it. And so a lot of this pricing is driven by excitement. Okay.
Yeah, and no one really knows. The name that goes out who started this is what we mostly think is a fictitious name, probably Satoshi Nakamoto.
Back in 2009.
Yeah, but this is not the true identity.
Well,
no one really knows. No one has found this person and said, "Are you this?"
Right.
Yeah.
He's just what they call a white. He wrote a white paper.
Yeah.
And he says, based upon the mathematical computations in this, that this is what the value of that would be. Well, everything. I don't know if you're familiar with the background of Facebook. There was some kids at Harvard. Okay, the twins.
Right.
They're one of the main players in the Bitcoin market. And they made billions of dollars. The buyout they got from Facebook, they turned around and put that into Bitcoin, and now they're billionaires based upon the value of the Bitcoins.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's just be careful. That's all I'm saying is that the drive in this market has been great. And if you can get in and get out and not get too greedy, it's worth putting a little bit of your money into it. I wouldn't base my retirement future on that, but there's been a lot of people that have made some money with Bitcoin.
Well, let me ask you. We talked about
the beginning of the year it was 700.
Yeah, that's what's.
It was 700, and now it's at 13,000.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have put $10,000 into Bitcoin at that point, and sailed off into the sunset.
If you want to cash out on this, and this is the part that maybe I get a bit confused on, could I go to my bank where I have my checking account, one of the major banks, and say, I want to turn in my Bitcoins to you and have that cash appear in my checking account?
The banks won't do it. You can go to your brokerage account, and your brokerage account would sell your Bitcoins, quote unquote, and then deposit the cash into your brokerage account.
Okay.
So that's,
and then from there I could pull it out.
There you could transfer it to your bank.
Okay.
So there is opportunity to actually make money.
Yeah.
You know, my son bought an alternative cryptocurrency here.
Mm-hmm.
He got all excited and he bought one for $200 and went to $400. So he sold it and actually made $200, and he was ecstatic.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can get money, physical
Yes.
money into your accounts, but this again, just be aware that there's no government or no commodity backing
Yeah.
Bitcoin. It's all intrinsic value of what people will put a value on.
Yeah, and it is, as many articles as I read, I'm certainly not a math wizard or computer wizard or anything, but it's not easy to understand the algorithm, how this works and the mining
Well,
and all that.
they have
And that's-
companies that
that
want
do-
to
yeah.
come up with
Yes.
new programs to develop these mathematical
Yeah.
equations, and they're rewarded, quote unquote, with Bitcoins.
Right.
Okay? And that's called mining
Yes.
Bitcoins, and it's becoming harder and harder, obviously.
Which is why the value goes up.
And there's
yeah.
a limited amount of Bitcoins, something like 7 billion or 21 billion, I think it was. But, you know, it's a really funny market.
Yeah.
And somebody's come up with a good idea. Just be careful.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Very good. But it's fun talking about
Oh,
this.
yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, it was fun talking about the .coms.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people were making money on .coms, driving prices up and things like that. But eventually, you know, they're going to realize there's no value to this.
Yeah, and
other than what, you know, you and I put on it.
Right.
You know. To
And when
me,
it comes down,
a
it's gonna come
Bitcoin
down.
isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
But somebody, it's worth $13,000.
That's
you know,
true.
So.
All right. Well, if you want to talk about Bitcoins or anything else along the world of getting your investments in order and help with that, you can call Dan and any other member
It's
of
a good
Sterling
time at the
Financial.
beginning of
It
the
is,
year to
yeah.
maybe set out some goals that you've got for retirement and kind of sit down and review things.
Yeah, we
You know.
talked about last week, maybe it was 2
We've
weeks
got-
ago,
we've
the
got-
new tax laws, so that's going to come into play
We've
for
got
some
our
people.
we've got our seminar starting.
Okay, great.
And so we'll get you some information you can put on the bulletin boards and things
Fantastic.
like that. All right.
So give Dan a call, and he's up there in Mission Viejo, sterlingfa.com, 949-859-8900.
Good
to
ya.
see you.
All right.
All right. I'll get some Bitcoins from you later. All right. We'll be back.